How you doing? I'm Callan and this is Slapped Ham. Today we're looking at some mysterious events in history. From the arrival of a ghost ship to some twins that seem to be able to remember their past lives. Join us as we take a look at some perplexing events in history that don't seem to have plausible explanations. But before we get into it, remember to hit that subscribe button for more awesome creepy content just like this. Often referred to as the American Stonehenge, the Georgia Guidestones have left conspiracy theorists, as well as the just plain curious, intrigued as to their true meaning, as well as why there's been so much secrecy in the creation of the stones. The massive granite Guidestones were built in Elbert County, Georgia in 1979. There are 5 standing stones, one in the centre with 4 additional stones arranged around the central one, and a capstone on top. Each granite slab weighs approximately 237,000 pounds, with the monument standing 19 feet 3 inches tall. There's an additional stone positioned a short distance away that gives a bit of information about the history and the purpose of the monument. The message of the Guidestones includes earth awareness, internationalism, population control, temperance, and social duties. The messages are inscribed in several languages, including Hindi, Arabic, English, Swahili, Spanish, Hebrew, Russian, and Chinese. The stones also act as an astronomical calendar. Daily at noon, the sun shines through a hole in the stone onto the day's date on an engraving. The real mystery behind the Georgia Guidestones, beyond the messages engraved on them, is the question of who actually commissioned the monument in the first place. In June 1979, the Albertan Granite Finishing Company was approached by a man who identified himself as Robert C. Christian. Christian claimed that he represented a small group of individuals who had spent 20 years designing the Guidestones and wished to remain anonymous in their commission. Albertan Granite accepted the job and work on the monument was soon underway. There are a lot of conspiracy theories about the true identity of Robert Christian and the group that he represented. Some believe that the monument was commissioned to mark the beginning of a new world order, while others think that they are satanic in nature. Another theory names the Rosicrucians as the group behind the stones. Most researchers believe that the message of the Georgia Guidestones actually represents the foundations for rebuilding a civilization that has suffered some type of catastrophic destruction. On June 1947, American vessels City of Baltimore and Silver Star responded to a distress call from a Dutch merchant ship called the Ourang Medan. The message was in Morse code and stated that the captain of the Ourang Medan and all her officers were dead on the bridge and in the chart room. The final message received was simply, "I die." When the crew from the Silver Star boarded the Ourang Medan, they were met with a horrific sight. There was no one alive on the ship, dead bodies were scattered around the ship with no signs of injury but with ghastly expressions on their faces, as if they had died of fright or possibly in agony. Even the ship's dog was dead, having died while snarling at whatever had killed the entire crew. It was decided that the 2 American ships would tow the Ourang Medan inland, but soon after tethering the derelict ship, smoke was billowing from below deck. The captains of the Silver Star and the City of Baltimore ordered the ropes to be cut, just before the Ourang Medan erupted in flames, eventually sinking. So what happened to the crew of the Ourang Medan? There are numerous theories about what happened, ranging from improperly or illegally contained chemicals on board to sea monsters or alien attacks. Regardless of what actually killed the crew, the circumstances surrounding their deaths and discovery were certainly strange. The local temperature on the day the ship was found was around 100 degrees Fahrenheit, but the rescue team felt a distinct chill in the air while on the Ourang Medan. Even stranger was the condition of the dead crew members. There was no physical signs of illness or injury to any of the bodies, yet they all displayed signs that they had suffered terribly before dying. It was also noted that all of the bodies seemed to be decomposing at an accelerated rate. There was no damage to the ship until it inexplicably caught on fire and exploded. Over the years, there have been quite a few theories put forth as to what actually happened to the crew, but the Ourang Medan took the truth with her when she sank. On May 7th, 1957, a terrible tragedy struck Northumberland, England couple John and Florence Pollock when they lost their daughters Joanna, aged 11, and Jacqueline, aged 6, in a tragic car accident. The girls were on their way to church with a family friend when the car they were riding in was struck by a vehicle driven by a woman who had overdosed on phenobarbital. The children died instantly and the parents were left grief-stricken by the loss of their precious daughters. Florence sunk into a fit of deep depression, but John Pollock stated that he believed their daughters would return to them and would be reborn as twins. John was a deeply religious man, but had never expressed any belief in reincarnation, but he felt strongly about the vision he had had and the rebirth of his girls. Amazingly, on October 4th, 1958, Florence Pollock gave birth to healthy twin girls, shocking their family and friends who recalled John's premonition. They named the girls Gillian and Jennifer. Almost immediately, strange coincidences began to occur. Jennifer was born with an unusual birthmark that closely resembled a scar that her dead sister Jacqueline had in the same spot. Jennifer also bore another birthmark that matched a birthmark that Jacqueline had, this one located on both girls' waists. The family moved to Whitley Bay a few months after the twins were born, and it was here that the twins really began to display an uncanny link to their deceased sisters. When the twins were older and began to speak, they started asking about specific toys that had belonged to their sisters. The toys were stored away without the twins having ever seen them, nor did the twins have any knowledge of their sisters Jacqueline or Joanna. The twins also displayed mannerisms that were unique to their deceased sisters, and even liked the same foods. When the girls visited locations they hadn't been to, but Jacqueline and Joanna had, they recognized landmarks, street names, and town names they had no way of knowing about. Eventually, the story of the twins reached psychologist Dr. Ian Stevenson. Dr. Stevenson had a keen interest in cases of reincarnation involving children, and soon he was regularly visiting the Pollocks to further his research. He noted that while the twins could have been influenced by their parents, the fact that they so exactly matched the behaviours and characteristics of their dead sisters made that highly unlikely at such a young age. The twins' memories of their apparent past lives eventually began to fade, however, and by the time they were 6 years old, they no longer exhibited the traits and memories of their deceased sisters. Residents of Taos, located in north-central New Mexico, are plagued with the sound of a low-frequency hum. The hum was first reported in the early 1990s, and research has been done to not only determine where the hum originates from, but to see how many of the town's inhabitants are affected by it. Based on surveys, it was determined that approximately 2% of the town's population was able to hear the humming sound. Equipment has been installed in several locations in the town in the hopes of detecting the source, but nothing unusual was ever discovered. It's interesting to note that the descriptions of the Taos hum seem to vary from person to person. Some individuals described a low humming sound, while others described a buzzing or whirring sound, leaving researchers to wonder if what the townspeople were experiencing was based on subjective occurrences rather than objective sounds. Numerous theories about the Taos hum have been put forth, including a low-frequency electromagnetic radiation, high-pressure gas lines, buzzing electrical wires, industrial equipment, and even military experiments. There are still no definitive answers, and the mystery continues. Before we get to that number one spot and take a look at a mystery that has baffled scientists for decades, remember to hit that subscribe button and turn on channel notifications. That way you'll be up to date with all our latest creepy content. The Voynich manuscript is a mystery that has baffled scientists since it was first introduced to the public in 1912, when it was purchased by Polish book dealer Wilfred Voynich. Carbon dating links the book all the way back to the 1400s, and while there are some pages missing, the book still contains approximately 240 intact pages. The manuscript is written in an unknown language that has never been deciphered, and is heavily illustrated with a variety of unidentifiable plants as well as astrological signs, cosmological images, astronomical images, as well as human figures, predominantly nude women. It's speculated that the book was a remedial herbal or pharmacopoeia, but without the ability to translate the text, it's proven difficult to identify the true meaning of the manuscript. Numerous theories have popped up about the Voynich manuscript. One popular idea is that John Dee or Edward Kelly penned the book and then sold it, claiming that the manuscript was written by Roger Bacon, a 13th century Franciscan friar known for his expertise in a wide variety of topics including astronomy and botany. Others believe that Bacon actually did write the manuscript, including Wilfred Voynich, who went to great lengths to try and convince others that Bacon was indeed the true author of the book. Finally, there is some speculation that Voynich himself actually penned the manuscript in the hopes of selling it for a hefty profit. But this explanation doesn't seem to take into account the carbon-dated paper and ink used to create the manuscript. And so this unusual book remains a mystery even today.
Well, looky here, there's the end of another episode. Thank you so much for watching. Now in the comment section below, let us know which one of these stories you thought was the weirdest, and can you give a plausible explanation? Remember to hit that upward facing thumb as well, because it really helps us out. And that's it for me. I'll see you all next time.